Welcome back, shop rats. If you've watched the last 7 episodes in this series, you see that we've been making floor pans, and we've got a lot of pieces built here and ready to put in the car. We've got one more little piece to make here, but I need a break from these floor pans, and we're going to do something a little bit different today. Unfortunately, somewhere along the line, somebody cut a big piece of this torsion bar cross member out, and we need to redo that before we can finish up the floor pan work and install that floor pan and make this piece of missing tunnel that's here to fill that 1 foot gap with a hoop. And well, there's just stuff. So there you go. If you haven't seen the channel before, we do all kinds of crazy stuff like this all the time. So stick around, watch what we're doing, watch the show intro. I'll see you in 30 seconds. That'll give you a little glimpse of some of the stuff that we do. I'm Mike, and this is My Car Shop.
Working out of a 100-year-old refurbished barn, bringing 35 years of experience to projects considered beyond repair. Vision, creativity, and problem solving are essential tools in this place. Watch as we transform junk into polished metal miracles. This is My Car's Shop.
So we have parts and pieces. We have a piece of an A-body hoop that I'm probably going to use to graft into this car. We have a B-body transmission crossmember, which is different because the torsion bar crossmember on this Challenger is not the same as the 67 B-body that came out of. We have part of the E-body crossmember, so that's good because now we have a pattern. And we have an A-body crossmember. So, and I've got a few more around, but I think these things here, probably together, we can make something that's going to work. We've got the 3 of these laid out, and you can see there's a difference in where these mounts are, here and here and here. The E-body one is the one in the middle that there I only have half of. This is A-body, that's B-body. They're not the same. So we need to have a cross member that has that right there sticking out. So we're going to have to do some work, or maybe we'll just find one. Probably not. We'll probably just make one because that's what we do here. That would be a fun little project. But the main thing we need to look at is up here on the car. I was hoping to have the original cross member so that I could just put it in here and know where I needed to put the hoops. However, I don't, and so I can't. But we'll make it work. We're fortunate in the fact that this is still here. And so we know where the outbound bolts go, and we know where those line up. And if this is true to every other cross member, I can put it in either way so that I'll know where the other bolt needs to be here so that any cross member should bolt in there. That's the plan. We'll see if it works. Okay, so I learned something interesting by searching on the Google thing. This car has 2 bolts here and 1 bolt here, which is actually really good because I don't have to worry about putting another hole in there with a cross drill and a brace inside. I'll try to remember to insert a picture down in here somewhere of what that looks like. So it has one, I've never seen one like this. It has 1 bolt on this side, 2 bolts on that side. So that's going to be fine. So then we can take and start working on using this piece here to fit in however we're going to do it to patch this together. Well, unfortunately, it doesn't come around enough to match into this, but that's okay. We'll fit it in there with some other metal, and we'll make it work. So I'm really glad to know that these bolts are all there, and we don't have to worry about cutting any of that stuff out. I apologize that we're not doing a lot of hands-on stuff yet. It's just a lot of figuring that has to be done in order to make this work. I am definitely going to have to fill in something here because no matter which way I put this on there, it's just not going to work. But I lined up this bolt hole. It lines up with that bolt hole. I flipped it the other way. The bolt holes line up. I think from what I'm seeing on the curvature here, this is about right. It kind of comes back into the cross member over here in about the same place. So probably needs to go up just a little bit so that this lip would line in with this lip. So that should work. I just got to, it's all by gosh and by guess, you know, I mean, I'm just figuring it out here, using what I have. And I think the place to start is probably going to be cutting this off here first and getting that nice and square, so that I have a good place to cut this off and then get it to mate. And I'll probably scoot that up a little bit so that this lip here lines up with this lip here, but until I get that cut off, I'm not going to know where that is. So it may mean that the top of that hoop is a little too high. I'm making the floor pan myself anyway, so I don't think that's going to matter. And at the end of the day, I will check the console to make sure the console fits level in there, and we'll call it good. All right, so I took and I fit this against the contour of the floor where it comes like this, and the contour of the hump that was left of the floor pan that was in there, and it's pretty sure this is about right. So we're gonna go ahead and cut it off, and if it's too short, we'll cut it again, and if it's too short, we'll cut it again. We'll just keep cutting it until it's not too short, but I think we're gonna be okay like this. So let's give it a shot, see what happens. If I keep doing stuff like this, I'm going to give you the mistaken impression that I actually know what I'm doing, and I don't definitely want to do that. So, excuse me, we've got to make some stuff to go on here. But like I said, this is a 2-in-1 bolt cross member, so I didn't realize it was. I'd never seen one like that before, but I looked it up online and you saw the picture. So we're going to easily be able to just scab in some metal. I got to trim this off in here and get this a little bit straighter, but I'm liking the way this is looking. I'll do a little nestling in there. It kind of follows this floor pan a little bit. I might have it just a skosh too high. We'll see. But darn it, for the most part, I think we're going to be good. Get it down here, get a better purchase on it. There we go. Okay, it's off a little bit back, but that's fine. There we go. So yeah, but right in. Darn it! It doesn't want to. Wham! There we go. Yeah, that's close. It needs to go up like that. It may not be perfect, but she's close enough to perfect for me. My concern is that with the stick shift, I don't know where the rods are going to be, but before we weld this in solid, we're going to get the 4-speed here and bolt it in and make sure that everything clears. Should be, I mean, it shouldn't be any different because the rods actually go out here, not in here. So I don't see why there's going to be a problem unless this is up too high this way. But that's why we just test fit everything, tack it in place, and go from there. So I need to get this bolt out, get these ears off, and get this cut off square so I can start working on the pieces I need to make to join this to that. Just checking the layout, and I noticed that my hoop doesn't exactly line up here, and I think that's because the floor pan steps out as it comes this way, but I need to just verify that for sure. But I wanted to be sure that this wasn't kicked way up here. That I had measured this before, but I wanted to just double check that this wasn't bent up because of being cut apart. So I'm not going through anything other than just a quick check right now. But if I put this 2x4 in here, and I just made it, get the straight side here, and this is just a quick and dirty, but if I put a 2x4 in here and I look at the gap between the frame rail here and the gap between the frame rail there, it's pretty much the same. It's a little less than a finger's width. So this hasn't moved, so good. I just need to look at a picture of the floor pan to make sure that it's stepping out as it comes this way. console's sitting in place and it's doing exactly what I thought. It's in there crooked like this, and it's because that hoop is too high. So I need to cut that down more. And yeah, I think if I cut it on that side over there and let it fall down more like this, that's going to probably help, because it'll give some clearance here so this console can scoot over about 1 inch, which is what it needs to do. And that probably will remedy our problem that I was seeing with it lining up with the hump as well. So we'll go ahead and do that, and then we'll be right back. I think that does it. I got up on top of the car, looked straight down the hump, and the center console is now straight. I do feel like it's just a little bit tight in here, but you know, it's sitting on the floor up there, and I think I can make it work. So it's not going to be put in the car permanently anyway. It's only going to be tacked in there until I get the floor pans done and we test fit the 4-speed. So that's probably good enough for now. So now I need to figure out how I'm going to make all of this to join these two together here. So I got to see what I got for some metal to make that work. Okay, so I put an inner sleeve in there, and then I'll put a piece on the outside. I didn't have any 14 gauge. All I had was some 16 gauge, and it's plenty strong, but I was struggling to figure out how I was going to do it anyway, and I think this makes the most sense to sleeve it inside. I'll get this all cut up and welded up and so forth onto that piece that we're going to put in, and I think that's where it goes, is just like that. And get that trimmed up so it looks good, and then we'll go ahead and get it stuck back into the cross member like I have it, and everything should be good to go. So, and we'll put the fill piece in as well in there so that it's got another layer of metal there, so it'll be twice as thick. But for what that is, that little teeny piece, the rest of it's all 14 gauge, and 16 is going to be fine, but especially double layered, it's going to be double fine. So it'll be good. Here's what we've got so far, just kind of tacked together. Got a little cleaning up to do, but I got another piece I'm going to put over that anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. Got it kind of welded down inside. So let's go test fit that in the car again, make sure everything is good, and then we'll go to the next level with it. Okay, it popped up out of there a little bit, but you get the idea of what we're doing here. So I got to get my squeezers down in there and squeeze her down in place. I thought it was, but then it wasn't. So must have popped out when I turned around. So yeah, then we'll just have to put a little fill piece in right there. And of course we got to drill a hole through it, but that's no big deal. And we'll have to slim that spacer down that goes in there. But yeah, it's going to work well. So need to make a decision on what I'm doing next here. How crazy I want to get with that right now, because I need to get that transmission here. Just so you can see what she's looking like on this side. It's obviously off a little bit over there, but we'll get that straightened out. It just needs to go that way a little bit. But yeah, looking good. Looking real good. So went through and welded it both inside and out. I may grind that, I may not. It's a little bit thin down here, so it blew through a couple spots, but got some nice beads up the sides there. And filled the old bolt holes in here. So nice and strong now. Cleaned it up real good with the wire brush. So, and then of course we're gonna make, and I think we'll go ahead and do that. We're gonna make pieces to go here that will, you know, lay over this here and over the other and follow this contour. So I've got a piece that I cut off of this. I should be able to do my cut technique and make that in the sheet metal brake. So let's get this shot uppy. Shoot a little rust conditioner on it. We'll put it over in the furnace. It's so warm out here today, I didn't even really fire the furnace up. It's a little chilly, but now we'll fire it up just for the sake of drying this stuff so we can get some paint on this. Yeah, I got another little rust hole right there. We'll catch that. So I wanted to make a comment also that if you don't have thick enough metal, don't be afraid to use 2 layers of thinner metal. That works just as well too, and sometimes it works even better. There's no point in going out and buying a bunch of stuff when you've got stuff around you can use. And that took me a while to figure out what I was doing with this, but that's going to work good. So we'll and then we'll let that dry. So I just looked through the pieces that I was cutting off, and I found this nice piece which has a perfect piece of the profile. I'm going to make sure that it's the right end because there is a bit of difference on the way those are shaped over there. So we'll check that. But this should be fairly, no, it's not, it's different because the other side is a lot taller. I'm not sure I have a piece for that. Darn it. Okay, I know what I can do. I can either do the wire technique once that dries, or I take a piece of wire like I did when I was doing the frame rails and the trunk floor support, or I can just use and make this part and make it a little bit taller. We may just go ahead and make it right on there and just bend it into place as it goes and make it in 2 pieces instead of messing with all this. If I could make a quick profile piece, I would. I'm just trying to think of the fastest way to make it because I'm going to be using that 16 gauge, and that is a little bit heavier material and a little harder to work with. So I got another piece of metal cut out to make those pieces out of. Hopefully that's wide enough. As soon as that dries, we'll stick that back in the car and determine the width of what it needs to be, and we'll go from there. All right, I'm happy with that. It's there. Made it in 2 pieces. Good enough, close enough. Good snuff, as my grandfather would say. Looks like that one slid down just to Nova Scotia, but no big deal. But we'll get that obviously trimmed up to fit against that. But now I know exactly where we got to be because this lines up really well here, and we're lining up good here. So yeah, we're good. So let's pull that out of there and take it over to the bench. So for ease of assembly, I think I'm going to shoot a Cleco or 3 in there, and then we can take our grips off of there, and it'll be a little bit easier to manipulate. All right, that's what we got. Needs a little hammer and dolly massaging, but I can weld that to the insert piece there now, and it'll make nice. And then once we get it all done, all we have to do is finish it up. So it's looking good. No major complaints. It's a little bit off right there, but we'll massage that in. I'm not worried about it. So I think the next step is to go ahead and weld this together and make these all one piece and get that part done. A little bit of dollying and so forth to clean it up in there, but overall it looks good. Just this needs to tweak out just a little bit, but you know, maybe not to, because it's just inside. It's hotter than hell right now, that's for sure. But looking good. I got a little peel right there because it's appealing. Let's push that up, and then let's go put it in the car and see what it looks like. All right, I'm happy with that. So it lines up good over here. We'll all be able to weld that in, obviously. It'll look good. We got extra wide flanges there for now. We'll trim that up from the other side once we get floor pan work finished. We need to drill the holes through that to put the inner sleeve in. So I want to get that done next so that we have perfect alignment, and then we'll be good to go. So yeah, it's looking great. I'm really pleased with the way that's turning out. All right, so we got our cross bolt spacer in there now. So we can go in and put it in the car and put a cross bolt in there just to make sure everything lines up right. That'll hold this end right in place where it belongs to be. And then that'll be probably where we stop. But we'll see, I don't know, maybe we'll go on for another 40 minutes. Stick around, don't go away. I realized that the bolt I used for assembly was too big. This is an actual cross member bolt. So, you know, I think that looks pretty respectable. I think it's going to weld up nicely and stitched together, of course, and I don't care. Nice little stitch weld down there. And I did a bunch of fill welding down here just because there was a pit. But it looks good. So not disappointed with that at all. We'll dress it up a little bit, of course, but it's going to work nice. So, boy howdy, is that ever nice to see an actual cross member in this car. Yeah. Woohoo! Center console fits down in there nice now. Real happy with it. So I gotta find myself a top plate for a 4-speed. Probably not. Probably just make one, because that's what we do here. That would be very easy part to make out of 20 gauge, and we could do some interesting things with it. I think this may have been a brand new console that was never used. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. Just curious more than anything.
Oh, yeah.
One more thing I almost forgot. If you're looking for merchandise, go to the Schultz Sign Company Etsy page. Link is down in the description. Search for MKS on their page, and you'll find our merch. And don't forget, rock!